So you want to reinvent yourself. But the problem is you've likely been doing it out of a place or form of self-rejection. And if that is the case, then it's never going to stick. We've all been sold the magic pill, the 5 a.m. wake ups, the cold plunge in the sauna, and the red light therapy, and the journaling, and the hot girl walks. Trust me, I'm not saying those things don't work. And in fact, I do all of those things. But we've been led to believe that if we can simply lock in and fix those things, create new habits and routines, then it will magically change ourselves and our life. And that is just part of the picture. As someone who has done the work in various ways and different modalities for over the past 2 decades, I can tell you right now that the biggest key that changed everything was self-compassion. And if you've heard that word before, it probably went right over your head. It sounds straightforward enough, yet it's so vague. But it was that final piece that moved me from feeling stuck repeating the same patterns over and over, feeling like I always got in my own way and unable to get to the next version, to actually experiencing embodied changes and attracting different types of experiences and people and relationships into my life. It wasn't at all about reinventing myself. In fact, as counterintuitive as it sounds, the only way for us to be able to love that future version of us and to get to that version of us is to actually fully love and accept this version of us now. It does sound like quite a bit of a paradox because if I want to change or make any change, doesn't that just automatically mean that I don't accept this version of me? I will be breaking this down in the video and on how we can actually reinvent ourselves in a way that is lasting and that sticks. The reason why these fixes and random lock-in sprints doesn't work is because if there is this need to continuously reinvent ourselves or get to the next version of ourselves, what you're really saying is, I am not okay as I am, and maybe I never will be. And we can dress that up in vision boards and self-care and morning routines, but at the end of the day, it's a form of self-rejection. And the thing about rejection is that it's not a neutral starting place. Rejection is a wound that possibly was created at first by someone else or a different circumstance. The patterns or the version of you that we're trying to grow beyond or escape doesn't just live in our habits, in our routines. In a deeper way, they live in how we honestly relate to ourselves when nobody's around. And that underlying relationship we have with ourselves, the most important relationship in all of our lives, will continue to dictate the larger picture that follows us in every aspect of our lives. When the part of our brain feels under threat, which abandonment and rejection are two forms of threat, it wants to revert to the most immediate and familiar thing. Because for our simple brain, familiarity equals safety, even when what's familiar isn't actually beneficial to us. In other words, as cheesy as this sounds, reinventing ourselves has to come from a place of love, not trying to escape ourselves. Before we dive deeper into the juicy bits of how to actually reinvent ourselves through both mindset and action, I've been taking a course on Skillshare by Roxane Gay, and it's called Creative Writing, Crafting Personal Essays with Impact. Even though getting better at writing is beneficial for my work, I'm doing this class purely out of personal joy. Writing was my first love, and as I'm working to find my voice with Substack essays, this is my way of showing myself I am worth the time, effort, and love, and I'm making it a part of my identity to always chase both old and new curiosities to continue to feed my soul. Skillshare is the best place to learn a creative skill or pick up a new hobby. And if you're looking to reconnect with your creativity and maybe avoid brain rot, Skillshare is where humans come to learn from other humans. And the first 500 people to use my link below or this QR code here will receive a free month trial of Skillshare. Let's approach self-reinvention with two parts: mindset and action. Here's how you might have been approaching it all wrong. Instead of thinking of reinventing yourself, as the sentence applies, as a completely brand new person, think of it as bringing the whole team onto the same page. The fact that you even have the desire to be a better version of you or a different version of you tells me something important. There is a member on your team right now who envisions a you that feels more aligned, more fulfilled, and she's already there or here. So the work really is to get all the other members of the team on the same page. Think of yourself as a whole ecosystem. And an ecosystem works because every part does serve a function. Although I'll make an argument, I'm not sure that mosquitoes serves a function, but I digress. It's just that some parts of you are still running on an old program or an old story. And it's likely an outdated story about who you are and what you're capable of. So first we have to understand that this part exists for a good reason. It's likely an adapted survival mechanism that got you through a certain period of time in your life. Maybe you've learned to prioritize others' needs before your own because you were praised for doing so growing up. Maybe you tend to be a bit more shy, stay in the shadows, and not be that confident person that you wish to be because there were people or circumstances that dimmed your sparkle. Having a nurturing relationship with those parts of you that might want to stay stuck in an old pattern can look something like this. Hey, you were here because you needed to be at some point, but I'm here now. I'm a grown person. I can make the right choices for us, and you can trust me. When we shift our relationship with ourselves, this is how we get every member of the team on the same page. The first most important thing to do is to figure out who are you actually trying to be. I go onto TikTok and I'm scrolling, and then the next thing you know, I'm wondering, is my skincare routine complete enough? Do I need to add an extra layer of nighttime routine to my daily existence? The point is, do you actually want to be a Pilates princess or a marathon runner? Do you even actually like matcha? Don't get me started on iced matcha lattes. No wonder we're all obsessed with reinventing ourselves over and over because we're being sold every time we log online that whatever this is right now, it's just not good enough. Instead of continuing to chase the latest trends, be courageous and take the time to really refine your own personal taste. Who do you actually want to be before you even start to reinvent yourself? For example, I sometimes get inspired when I see people with really quirky, cute, colorful outfits. But I am a minimal girl, and my core value is comfort. And frankly, I don't need to tell you, not every trend looks good on everybody or every body type. This is not to say that you define who you are and you stick to it and you never change. No, no, no. We want to have more fun than that. But get clear on your core non-negotiables, as a mouthful. When it comes to working out, I experiment with a ton of different exercises, but my core non-negotiable is strength training. As someone who just turned 35, getting as much muscle as I can at this stage of my life and helping increase my bone density is the best thing I can do for me, and that is my core non-negotiable. So get clear on your core non-negotiables and then reinvent from there. Number 2, stop trying to do everything all at once. I know it's very sparkly and exciting to see those titles in the videos that are like, transform yourself completely in 1 year, become unrecognizable, or change your entire life in 6 months. I get that this sounds like the magic pill that's just gonna make everything better, but guess what? When our nervous system perceives a threat, and if you already have other stressors in your life, maybe it's school, maybe it's kids, maybe it's work, whatever your stressors are, and you want to compound on top of that by completely overhauling your entire life, your nervous system is going to be like, no, 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 we don't like that. So instead, what I love to do is stacking my habits, one layer at a time. You pick one behavior, you make it simple enough so that you can repeat that behavior over a long period of time. And then when it feels like it's just a part of your existence, then you can stack the next. This stacking approach removes the all or nothing spiral. You won't be left feeling like a failure, like no matter how many times I try to do these things, it just never happens. So therefore, it's just not me. I'll never be that person. It's not true. Honestly, it's really hard for me when I fall off my own non-negotiables. For example, I've been traveling long term for the last few months, and it's really hard to stick to my routine. And I have to constantly remind myself to give myself the grace and patience to then restart that whole process. And that's okay, because what you're trying to build is a lifelong, sustainable relationship with yourself that is loving and beneficial, and not just looking for a quick sprint that makes you get excited like a quick dopamine fix, but then you fail in 2 weeks. Number 3, catch your energy behind your actions. This is what I was talking about earlier. Before you do anything, before you pick your new things to stack and habits to build to reinvent yourself, ask this question. Am I doing it out of self-respect or am I doing it out of self-rejection? Am I working out because I hate my body? Or am I working out because I love it so much that I want to take care of it? Am I being productive to prove something? Or am I starting to prioritize only things that actually really matters to me and taking everything else off of that list so that I can actually have more quality time to spend and doing things that I really love? You can take the exact same actions with two very different approach and energy, and I'll let you decide which one you think is more sustainable. You don't need a new identity. You need to become or be someone that you can trust. Someone who is your favorite version of you. Not the best, just your favorite. And that version can still change. Number 4 is very important. Learning to disappoint people without abandoning yourself. Let people make their minds up about you because there's nothing you can do to control it anyways. The guilt. When you start changing, some people around you might not like it. They might make you feel selfish for choosing yourself, even if they don't have any ill intent. And then there's the grief. Some relationships might not survive, and that's because some connections were built on a previous version of you that you've outgrown, but that maybe in a way was comfortable or beneficial to that person. It can feel upsetting and confusing and maybe even isolating. There will be a time for you to possibly make a decision to choose prioritizing other people's comfort or managing their feelings or choosing yourself at last. I truly believe that the people worth staying in our lives will understand and be supportive of a path that we want to take for ourselves if it is indeed a beneficial one. I hope everything that I said today gives you a true sense of possibility, that reinventing yourself doesn't have to just be a quick dopamine fix that fades quickly over time, but instead it's a lifelong relationship you get to build with yourself, allowing each season of you to be fully embraced and supported, and that the changes you get to make can come from a genuine place that is not dictated by the ever-changing trends pushed to you by the algorithm. And it doesn't have to feel so stern and serious. Experimenting with different versions of you can be playful and fun. And I think that's the kind of reinventing yourself that the whole team can get behind. If any of what I said resonated with you today, feel free to connect with me on social media. I do have a Substack, and on my website, there are free resources and paid offers as well. Thank you so much for being here today, and I'll see you in the next one.